Kang Minho whistled softly as he walked down the long hallway of Galactic Council Station Omega-7. The metal corridors were wide enough for 3 different alien species to walk side by side. Today felt like a good day. The coffee machine in the human section was working again, and he had finally figured out why the station's artificial gravity kept flickering in Section C. As he turned the corner toward the engineering bay, Minho stopped. A massive support beam had fallen across the hallway. It was made of dense titanium alloy, about 3 meters long and thick as his waist. The beam blocked the entire passage. Several aliens stood on the other side, looking upset and worried. He recognized them from the station roster. There was Kristhon, a Vextai engineer who looked like a walking crystal formation. Her body was made of living mineral that sparkled blue and green under the station lights. Next to her stood Flithen, a Nefri who existed as a cloud of gas held together by a special containment suit. The third alien was Tikala, one of the insect-like Kilthera with 4 arms and compound eyes. "Oh no," Minho said to himself. "This is going to make everyone late for their shifts." He walked up to the beam and crouched down to examine it. The metal was cold under his hands. Someone had been doing maintenance work on the ceiling, and the beam must have slipped from its supports. These things happened all the time on space stations. The aliens on the other side noticed him. Kristhon's crystal body began to glow brighter, which Minho had learned meant she was excited or worried. Tikala's 4 arms moved in quick gestures, and Flithen's gas cloud swirled faster inside his containment suit. "Do not worry," Minho called out to them. "I will move this so you can get through." He bent his knees and wrapped his arms around the beam. The metal was smooth and heavy. Minho took a deep breath and lifted. The beam came up off the floor with a soft scraping sound. It was heavier than he had expected, maybe 200 kilograms, but nothing he could not handle. With careful steps, Minho carried the beam to the side of the hallway and set it down against the wall. He brushed the dust off his hands and smiled at the aliens. "There you go," he said. "Sorry about that." Maintenance must have had an accident. The 3 aliens stood completely still. Kristhon's glow had turned from blue to a bright red color. Tikala's compound eyes were wide, and all 4 of her arms had stopped moving. Flithen's gas cloud had compressed into a tight ball inside his suit. "Is something wrong?" Minho asked. He looked around to see if he had missed something dangerous. "Are you hurt? Do you need help with anything else?" Kristhon made a sound like breaking glass. In her language, it meant something like extreme shock. Tikala clicked her mandibles rapidly, which was how her species showed fear. Flithen's suit speaker crackled as he tried to speak but could not find words. "Really, is everything okay?" Minho stepped closer, worried now. "You all look upset. Did I do something wrong?" "You," Kristhon finally managed to speak through her translator device. "You moved the beam. With your body alone." "Yes," Minho said, confused. "It was blocking the way." "Was I not supposed to? I can put it back if you need it there." "How much does that beam weigh?" Tikala asked, her voice high and sharp. Minho shrugged. "I do not know exactly. Maybe 200 kilos? It is pretty heavy, but not too bad. My sister Yunji works construction, and she lifts heavier things than this every day. She says I am weak because I just fix computers and machines." The 3 aliens looked at each other. Even with their very different faces, Minho could tell they were all thinking the same thing. Something had frightened them badly. 200, Flithen whispered. "Your sister lifts more than 200 kilograms regularly?" "Oh yes," Minho said, happy to talk about his family. "Yunji is really strong. She can carry steel beams twice this size. And my cousin Daehyun works at the spaceport loading cargo. He moves containers that weigh half a ton by himself. Says it keeps him in shape." Kristhon's red glow was getting brighter. "In shape?" "You know, healthy. Humans need exercise to stay strong. If we do not lift heavy things or run around, our muscles get weak." Minho flexed his arm to show them. "See? I am not even very muscular. I mostly sit at computers all day." Tikala made a sound like a tea kettle whistling. It was the noise her species made when they were terrified. "Are you sure you are all right?" Minho asked again. "You seem really upset. Should I call the medical bay?" "No," Kristhon said quickly. "We are fine, just surprised." "Surprised by what?" The aliens looked at each other again. Minho waited patiently. Sometimes it took them a while to find the right words in human language. "On my world," Kristhon said slowly, "it takes 6 of my people to move something that heavy. We need special machines and tools. For my species, Flithin added, we could never lift such weight. Our bodies would be crushed. Same for Kilthera, Tikala clicked. Only our largest warriors could move such a thing, and they would need to prepare for many days. Minho thought about this. That makes sense. You all have different bodies than humans. We're probably just built differently. Built differently, Kristhon repeated the words like they had a special meaning. Well, I should get to work, Minho said. The gravity system in Section C is acting up again. Are you sure you do not need anything else moved? The three aliens quickly said no and hurried away down the corridor. Minho watched them go, still confused about why they had seemed so frightened. Maybe they had never seen a human lift something heavy before. He would have to ask his friend Young-Ho about it later. Young-Ho was a doctor and understood alien biology better than anyone. As Minho walked toward the engineering bay, he did not see Kristhon stop at the nearest communication panel. Her crystal fingers moved quickly over the controls as she sent an urgent message to the Galactic Council headquarters. Priority alert, she transmitted. Human species demonstrates massive physical capabilities beyond previous estimates. Individual human male moved 200-kilogram titanium beam without assistance or visible effort. Claims this is normal activity for his species. Recommend immediate review of human threat assessment. These beings may be far more dangerous than we realized. Dr. Park Jisoo checked her equipment one more time before stepping outside the research station. The world of Kepler 442b stretched out before her in shades of red and orange. Strange rock formations twisted up from the ground like frozen lightning. The air was thick and heavy, pressing down on everything with more than twice the force of Earth's gravity. She moved easily across the rocky ground, her boots finding good grip on the alien stone. Behind her, the rest of the research team followed more slowly. Kristhon the Vextai engineer wore a complex metal frame around her crystal body. The frame had small anti-gravity generators that helped support her weight. Gethek, a Kilthera scientist, walked carefully on 6 legs inside a powered exoskeleton that whirred and clicked with each step. Sample Site 7 is just over this ridge, Jisoo called back to them. She was not even breathing hard, despite carrying a pack full of scientific equipment. Slow down, Dr. Park, Gethek clicked through his translator. Some of us are not built for this gravity. Jisoo stopped and waited for them to catch up. She had been working on this high-gravity world for 3 months now, studying bacteria that lived in the extreme conditions. The bacteria were important because they might help other species survive on similar worlds. But today, something felt wrong with the research station. Is it just me, or does the gravity feel stronger today? Kristhon asked. Her support frame was working harder than usual, making small whining sounds. Jisoo looked around. Small rocks that should have been rolling down the hill were pressed flat against the ground. Her equipment pack, which usually felt light, seemed a bit heavier than normal. You are right, she said. Something is not normal. They made their way back to the research station quickly. Inside, warning lights flashed red across all the control panels. The station's computer spoke in 3 different alien languages, all saying the same thing. Attention, gravity amplifier malfunction. Seek shelter immediately. Jisoo ran to the main control room. The gravity control system was sparking and smoking. Numbers on the screen showed that gravity in different parts of the station was jumping between 3 and 5 times Earth normal. How bad is it? Kristhon asked. Her support frame was making loud grinding sounds now. Very bad, Jisoo said, reading the displays. The amplifiers that control our artificial gravity are overloading. If they explode, some areas could reach 8 times normal gravity. Gethek's exoskeleton began to shake. 8 times? That would crush us. Not all of us, Jisoo said quietly. She was already moving toward the emergency repair kit. I need to get to the main amplifier and shut it down manually. You cannot. Kristhon's crystal body flashed bright yellow with fear. The main amplifier is in Section 4. According to these readings, that area is already at 4 times normal gravity. Jisoo checked the readings again. Kristhon was right. Section 4 was showing 4.2 times Earth gravity and climbing. For the aliens, it would be like being crushed under a mountain. I can handle it, Jisoo said. She picked up the repair kit and a portable power supply. Together, they weighed about 30 kilograms. I grew up in Seoul. My family used to hike in the mountains every weekend for fun. Hiking is not the same as this. Gethek protested. My brother Dongyun does rock climbing. Jisoo continued, already walking toward Section 4. He trains in gravity chambers that go up to 6 times normal. Says it makes regular climbing feel easy. The aliens watched in horror as Jisoo walked calmly into the high-gravity zone. They could see her on the security monitors, moving through corridors where they would have been flattened in seconds. In Section 4, Jisoo felt the extra gravity pressing down on her shoulders and back. It was like carrying a heavy backpack, but she had done that many times while hiking. Her legs were strong from years of walking up mountain trails. Her breathing stayed steady as she worked on the gravity amplifier. The repair took 20 minutes. Jisoo had to crawl through maintenance tunnels where the gravity reached 5 times normal. She replaced blown circuit boards and rerouted power cables. The work was hard but not impossible. "Status report," she called over the radio. "Jisoo." Kriston's voice was full of worry. "Get out of there." Gravity in Section 4 just jumped to 5.7 times normal. "I know," Jisoo said calmly. "I can feel it. But I'm almost done." While she worked, an alarm sounded from another part of the station. On the monitors, the aliens could see that Killen, a young Kilthera researcher, had been caught in Section 3 when the gravity surged. His exoskeleton had failed, and he was trapped under equipment that had fallen on him. "Someone needs to help Killen." Gethek clicked frantically. "We cannot reach him," Kriston said. "Section 3 is at 4.5 times gravity. Our equipment cannot function there." Through the radio, they heard Jisoo's voice. "I am going to get him." The aliens watched on the monitors as Jisoo finished her repairs and then walked into Section 3. The gravity there was strong enough to crush most beings instantly. But Jisoo moved like she was walking through water instead of a crushing force. She found Killen pinned under a fallen storage cabinet. The cabinet was made of solid metal and weighed over 300 kilograms. In the high gravity, it weighed more than a ton. "Do not worry," Jisoo told the injured Kilthera. "I will get you out." She bent down and lifted one end of the cabinet. Her muscles strained, but slowly the heavy metal rose off Killen's body. With her free hand, she pulled him out from under it and then carried him toward the safe zone. "Impossible," Kriston whispered, watching the monitors. Jisoo carried Killen through corridors where the gravity would have turned both aliens into paste. She moved steadily, breathing hard but never stopping. When she finally reached the safe zone, she was sweating but smiling. "There," she said, setting Killen down gently. "Are you hurt badly?" Killen's compound eyes stared at her in amazement. You carried me through 5 times gravity. How?" Jisoo checked his injuries while she answered. "It was not that bad. Like I said, I used to hike mountains, and my dad always said that when someone needs help, you find a way to help them." "Your father said that?" Kriston asked. "Yes. He grew up during hard times in Korea. His family had to carry heavy loads long distances just to survive. He says humans are built to keep going when things get difficult." The aliens looked at each other. None of their species could survive what Jisoo had just done. She had walked through gravity that would kill them, lifted weights that would crush them, and acted like it was just another day at work. "Dr. Park," Gethek said slowly, "what do humans consider difficult?" Jisoo thought about it while she bandaged Killen's injured arm. "I guess really difficult would be like what my grandmother went through. She lived through a war, raised 6 children with very little food, and worked in rice fields for 16 hours a day. Now that was hard." She finished with the bandages and stood up. "But she always said that humans can get used to anything if they have to. We just do what needs to be done." The aliens were very quiet for the rest of the day. That night, Kriston sent another urgent message to the Galactic Council. Update on human capabilities. Dr. Park Jisoo operated normally in gravity conditions that would instantly kill most known species. Claims this is normal for humans from her family background. Humans may not be aware of their own extraordinary physical capabilities. Recommend extreme caution in all interactions with this species. Captain Lee Hunwoo felt the ship shake as another piece of debris hit the hull. The exploration vessel Harmony was deep in an asteroid field, and things were going very wrong. What should have been a simple survey mission had turned into a fight for survival. "Damage report," he called out to his mixed crew. "Main engines are offline," reported Kim Summon, the human engineer. Her fingers flew over the control panels as she tried to reroute power. "Hull breach in sections 4 and 7. Life support is failing in the rear compartments." At the navigation station, Silthan the Vextai was flickering between different colors. For his crystal species, rapid color changes meant extreme stress. "Captain, we are drifting deeper into the asteroid field. Without engines, we cannot escape. Gasbane, the Nefri engineer, spoke through his containment suit's speakers. His gas cloud body was swirling in tight, worried patterns. Environmental systems are failing. Temperature is dropping fast. Oxygen levels are down 12%. Hyunwoo looked at the readouts. They were in serious trouble. The ship could support life for maybe 2 weeks if they were very careful. But they were months away from the nearest space station and no one knew where they were. Options? He asked his crew. We need to repair the main engines, someone said. But that means working outside the ship while we are moving through the asteroid field. Very dangerous. How long would repairs take? Hyunwoo asked. Working around the clock? Maybe 2 weeks. If everything goes perfectly. Silthan's crystal body turned dark blue, the color of fear for his species. Captain, my people cannot work for 2 weeks without rest. We need at least 8 hours of meditation each day or our bodies begin to crack. Same for Nefri, Gasbane added. My kind must return to our rest chambers for 6 hours daily, or we lose cohesion. Hyunwoo nodded. He understood. Different species had different needs, but humans were built differently. What about you, Salman? Can you work for 2 weeks straight? Salman thought about it. I worked 3 jobs while studying engineering. Used to go days with only a few hours of sleep. 2 weeks will be hard, but I can do it. From the biology station, Choi Tae-hyung looked up from his sample analysis. I can help with repairs. During my military service, we had training exercises that lasted for weeks. They taught us to keep working no matter how tired we got. But that is impossible, Silthan protested. No being can function without proper rest for so long. Humans can, Hyunwoo said simply. We evolved that way. Sometimes you have to keep going even when your body wants to stop. Over the next 17 days, the alien crew members watched in amazement as the 3 humans worked almost without stopping. They slept in short 4-hour shifts, taking turns so that someone was always working on repairs. Salman spent 12 hours a day outside the ship in a spacesuit, welding new hull plates and replacing damaged engine parts. The work was dangerous and exhausting. Asteroids flew past close enough to touch. The cold of space tried to freeze her tools, but she kept working. Tae-hyung took over life support maintenance. He crawled through freezing maintenance tunnels, repairing air recyclers and water purifiers. When the heating system failed completely, he rigged emergency heaters using spare parts from his laboratory equipment. Hyunwoo coordinated everything while also taking shifts on repairs. He went without sleep for 3 days straight when the navigation computer crashed. His hands were steady and his mind was clear even when exhaustion made his eyes burn. The aliens tried to help when they could, but their bodies simply could not handle the stress. Silthan's crystal structure began to develop hairline cracks from lack of proper rest. Gasbane's gas cloud became thin and unstable without time in his rest chamber. You must stop, Silthan told the humans on day 10. Your bodies will break down. You are pushing beyond all biological limits. Salman looked up from the engine component she was rebuilding. Her face was tired, but her smile was still bright. We are fine. This reminds me of when I was studying for final exams while working night shifts at a factory. I went 3 weeks on 4 hours of sleep per night. 3 weeks? Gasbane's gas cloud swirled in disbelief. My grandmother did harder things, Tae-hyung said as he replaced a burned-out air filter. She told me stories about my great-grandfather. During the war, he worked in rice fields for 16 hours a day, then walked 10 kilometers to get home. Did that for years. Your great-grandfather was a super soldier? Silthan asked. No, just a farmer, normal human farmer. The aliens were quiet after that. On day 15, Soman got the main engines working again. The ship limped out of the asteroid field and toward the nearest space station. But the humans were not done yet. Over the next 2 days, they improved several systems that had been giving trouble for months. Life support is now 30% more efficient, Tae-hyung reported. And I fixed that problem with the water recycler that was making everything taste funny. Navigation computer is running better than it did when we left port, Hyunwoo added. Salman upgraded the processing cores while she was rebuilding them. When they finally reached the space station, the aliens were amazed to see the humans still alert and active. They had worked for 17 days with almost no rest, survived in freezing temperatures, and even made improvements to their ship. How? Silthan asked as they docked. How are you still functional? Honestly? Salman stretched her back and yawned. I'm really tired. I'm looking forward to sleeping for 12 hours straight. Just 12 hours? Gasbane asked. Well, maybe 14. Then I want to get some real food and call my family. After that, I should probably check on the engine repairs and make sure everything is still working right. Hyunwoo laughed. And you never stop working, do you? My dad always said that rest is what you do after the job is done. Besides, I enjoy fixing things. It makes me happy when everything works the way it should. That night, while the humans slept their long 12-hour rest, the alien crew members sent reports to their home worlds. All 3 reports said basically the same thing. Human endurance capabilities exceed all known biological parameters. They function normally under conditions that would kill most species. Most disturbing, they do not seem to understand that what they do is extraordinary. They treat extreme endurance as normal behavior. These beings may be the most naturally dangerous species we have ever encountered. But in the human quarters of the ship, Hyunwoo was talking to his wife on Earth through the communication system. "How was your mission, honey?" she asked. "Not too bad," he said. "We had some engine trouble, but the crew pulled together and fixed everything. Soman and Taehyung worked really hard. That is good. Your daughter wants to know if you saw any cool space rocks." Hyunwoo smiled. "Tell her I saved some pictures of the asteroid field. It was actually quite beautiful, even though it was a little dangerous." "A little dangerous?" His wife laughed. "You always say that. Remember when you climbed that mountain during the storm and said it was a little challenging? That was different. The storm was not that bad." As Hyunwoo talked with his family about normal things, he had no idea that 3 different alien species now considered humans to be the scariest beings in the galaxy. Dr. Bae Young-ho was having a quiet day in the medical bay when the emergency alarm started screaming. Red lights flashed across all the walls, and the station's computer announced a mining accident in the lower levels. "All medical staff to emergency stations," the voice said. "Multiple casualties incoming." Young-ho quickly prepared the medical bay for injured patients. He had worked as a doctor on Galactic Council Station Omega-7 for 6 months now, treating beings from 12 different species. Each species had different bodies, different blood, and different ways of getting hurt. The first ambulance arrived carrying 3 injured Vextai miners. Their crystal bodies were cracked and dim. Kristhon, who Young-ho knew from the engineering department, was barely conscious. "What happened?" Young-ho asked the rescue team. "Cave-in the deep mines," reported the Kilthera rescue leader, clicking his mandibles rapidly. "A support beam failed. The tunnel collapsed on everyone inside." More ambulances arrived. Young-ho saw injured Nefri, whose gas clouds were leaking from damaged containment suits. Several Kilthera had broken limbs and cracked shells. "It was a bad accident. Where are the human miners?" Young-ho asked. "I know there were humans working that section today." "They are coming," the rescue leader said. "But you should know, Doctor, they did something very strange." Before Young-ho could ask what he meant, the last ambulance arrived. 3 human miners climbed out on their own, supporting a 4th who was limping badly. Young-ho immediately saw that all 4 were hurt, but they were walking and talking. "Hey, Doc," called Oh Jinwoo, one of the miners Young-ho knew well. "Sorry to bother you with this. Just need you to check if Gun-ho's leg is broken." Young-ho stared at them. Jinwoo had blood running down his face from a deep cut on his forehead. His left arm hung at a wrong angle, clearly dislocated. Through his torn shirt, Young-ho could see dark bruises that meant broken ribs. "Jinwoo, you need medical attention right now," Young-ho said, moving toward him with a medical scanner. "I am okay," Jinwoo waved him off with his good arm. "Really, just a few bumps. But Gun-ho hit his leg pretty hard when the rocks fell." "A few bumps?" Young-ho ran his scanner over Jinwoo's body. The readings made him stop and check the scanner twice. "Jinwoo, you have 3 broken ribs, a dislocated shoulder, severe lacerations, and internal bleeding." "Really?" Jinwoo looked down at himself like he was noticing the injuries for the first time. "Huh, I guess that explains why breathing hurts a little." The alien medical staff had gathered around, listening to this conversation with growing horror. Mistral, the chief medical officer, was a Nefri whose gas cloud was swirling in tight, worried patterns. "A little?" Mistral's voice came through his suit speakers. "Those injuries would have killed most beings instantly." "Killed?" Jinwoo looked confused. "No, they just hurt some. I have had worse." "Worse than internal bleeding and broken ribs?" "Sure. Last year I fell off a construction crane and broke my leg in 3 places. Now that really hurt." Jinwoo smiled. "My wife Minji was so mad at me for being careless." Young-ho was reading the medical scans of all 4 miners. The results were incredible. Even the lightly injured ones had damage that would have put any alien species in critical condition. "Jinwoo, how did you get out of the mine?" he asked. Well, when the tunnel collapsed, rocks pinned down some of the alien miners. We could not just leave them there. Jinwoo sat down on an examination table while Young-ho worked on his shoulder. So we dug them out and carried them to safety. You carried them? With these injuries? The Vextai are not very heavy, Jinwoo said. And somebody had to help them. They were hurt and scared. Mistral floated closer to examine Jinwoo herself. You carried injured beings through a collapsed mine tunnel while suffering from internal bleeding? I mean, yes, but what else could we do? Leave them to die? Young-ho looked at the rescue team leader. Is this true? Very true, Doctor, the Kiltheric clicked. When we reached the accident site, the humans had already rescued all the alien miners. They carried beings twice their size through dangerous rubble. Oh, Jinwoo personally carried 3 unconscious Vextai to safety. 3? Young-ho asked. Well, they needed help, Jinwoo said, and I was not hurt that badly. Just some broken ribs. Mistral's gas cloud compressed into a tight ball, which meant she was experiencing extreme shock. Just some broken ribs? Those injuries would have rendered any other species unconscious from pain. Pain? Jinwoo thought about this. I guess it does hurt. But pain is just pain, you know? You can work through it if you have to. Work through it? Sure. My wife Minji gave birth to our daughter without any pain medicine. Said she wanted to experience it naturally. And my father-in-law Won-shik still works construction at age 70. He has a replacement hip and arthritis in both hands. But he says staying busy keeps him young. The alien medical staff looked at each other with what could only be described as terror. Your wife chose to experience the pain of childbirth? Mistral asked. Yes, she said pain is temporary, but the memory of being strong lasts forever. Jinwoo smiled proudly. She is much tougher than me. Young-ho continued treating Jinwoo's injuries while listening to this conversation. As a human doctor, he knew that Jinwoo's attitude was completely normal. But seeing the aliens' reactions made him realize how unusual it must seem to other species. Dr. Bay, Mistral said quietly, what is the human tolerance for pain? Young-ho thought about how to explain this. Well, human pain tolerance varies from person to person, but in general, we are built to function through injuries that might disable other species. Why? Evolution, I suppose. Earth is a dangerous world. Humans who could not work through pain and injury did not survive long enough to have children. Your entire species evolved to ignore life-threatening injuries? Not ignore them. We feel pain just like anyone else, but we learn to keep functioning despite the pain. Mistral was quiet for a long time. Finally, she asked, what would it take to actually stop a human from working? Young-ho considered this carefully. Death, I suppose. Though even then, some humans have been known to keep fighting for a few minutes after receiving fatal injuries. Fighting after death? Not literally after death, but there are documented cases of humans continuing to function for short periods, even with injuries that are definitely fatal. The alien medical staff began backing away from the human patients. Young-ho noticed their fear and tried to reassure them. Look, we are not dangerous, he said. Yes, humans can function through injuries that might stop other species. But we use that ability to help others, not hurt them. Like today, Jinwoo and his team used their pain tolerance to save alien lives. That is exactly what makes you so frightening, Mistral whispered. You do not even understand how terrifying you are. Later that day, while Jinwoo and the other miners were recovering, Young-ho received a call from his colleague on Earth. How are things on the space station? Dr. Kim asked. Interesting, Young-ho replied. I treated some human miners today who worked through injuries that would have killed most alien species. They acted like it was no big deal. Sounds normal. Remember that construction worker last month who finished his shift with a broken back? Right. I think the aliens are starting to realize that humans are built differently than they expected. Well, do not scare them too much. We want to make friends, not enemies. As Young-ho ended the call, he did not know that Mistral was already sending an urgent report to the Galactic Council Medical Board. Human pain tolerance and injury resistance exceed all known biological parameters. They function normally with damage that would kill other species. Most concerning, they appear completely unaware of how extraordinary their capabilities are. Request immediate review of human physiology data. These beings may be living weapons disguised as peaceful explorers. Kim Na-young smiled as she watched the alien inspection team step off their shuttle at Seoul Spaceport. After months of reports about dangerous humans, the Galactic Council had decided to visit Earth and see where these supposedly terrifying beings came from. The team looked nervous. Quartzine, A tall Vexitai ambassador made of blue crystal kept scanning the area with her optical sensors. Clickthar, a Kilthara military analyst with 4 arms and compound eyes, moved carefully as if expecting an attack. The third member, Faston, was a Nefri whose gas cloud body stayed compressed tightly inside his containment suit. "Welcome to Earth," Nayong said cheerfully. She was the official guide assigned to show them around humanity's homeworld. "I hope you had a good trip." "The gravity here is very strong," Courtsine said, her crystal body glowing with strain. Even with her support equipment, she was struggling with Earth's natural gravity. "Oh, I am sorry about that," Nayong said. "I forgot that most species find our gravity heavy. Are you comfortable enough to walk around?" "We will manage," Clickthar clicked through his translator. His 6 legs were shaking slightly under the weight. "Great. I thought we could start with a tour of Seoul, then visit Jeju Island and maybe see some of our nature preserves. I want to show you what a normal day is like for humans." As they walked through the spaceport, the aliens noticed something strange. Humans were moving everywhere, carrying heavy bags, running to catch flights, lifting cargo. Children ran around playing games. Elderly people walked slowly but steadily. Everyone seemed comfortable and relaxed. "Your atmospheric pressure," Baston said, his gas cloud swirling nervously inside his suit. "It is crushing me." "Really?" Nayong checked her portable atmospheric reader. "It is just normal Earth pressure today. About 14.7 pounds per square inch. Perfect weather for sightseeing." "Perfect." Quartzine's crystal structure was glowing red with stress. This pressure would collapse most Vextai within hours. "That does not sound very comfortable," Nayung said with concern. "Are you sure you want to continue the tour? We can go to a pressurized building if you need to." "No," Clickthar said firmly. "We must see how humans live naturally." They took a hover car through Seoul. The aliens stared out the windows at the massive city full of humans going about their daily lives. Millions of people lived and worked in buildings that reached toward the sky. "How many humans live here?" Quartzian asked. "About 10 million in the city, maybe 25 million in the greater Seoul area," Nayung said. "It is one of our larger cities, but not the biggest. 25 million beings living in one place?" Faston's gas cloud swirled faster. "How do they survive the competition for resources?" "Competition?" Nayung looked confused. "We do not really compete. We work together. Everyone has different jobs and we share what we make." They stopped at a construction site where workers were building a new apartment tower. The aliens watched humans lifting heavy steel beams, welding metal joints, and working 50 stories above the ground with no apparent fear. "Those humans are working in extremely dangerous conditions," Clickthar observed. "Oh yes, construction can be dangerous," Nayung agreed. "But we have safety rules and good equipment. My cousin Jihoon works construction. He says the most dangerous part is usually the drive to work." "The drive to work?" "Traffic accidents. Though Jihoon also does mountain climbing on weekends, and that is probably more dangerous than his job." "Mountain climbing?" Quartzine's crystal body flickered with confusion. "For survival purposes?" "No, for fun. He likes the challenge. Jihoon is training to climb Mount Everest next year." "Mount Everest?" "Our tallest mountain. It is very cold and high up where there is not much air to breathe. But thousands of humans climb it every year just to see if they can." The aliens were quiet for a long time. They visited a school where human children were playing in the courtyard. The aliens watched 8-year-olds running around, falling down, getting back up and laughing. A teacher was leading a group in exercises that involved jumping, lifting, and balancing. "Are those children training for military service?" Clickthar asked. "Military service?" Nayung laughed. "No, they are just playing. Physical education is part of regular school. We want children to grow up strong and healthy. They fall down frequently but do not seem injured. Kids are pretty tough. They bounce back from things that would hurt adults. One little girl fell off the playground equipment and scraped her knee. She cried for about 30 seconds, then got up and went back to playing." "Amazing," Faston whispered. "She recovered from injury almost instantly." "Well, it was just a scraped knee," Nayung said. "Kids get hurt all the time. That is how they learn to be careful." Their next stop was Jeju Island, where they met Yoon Seojun, a marine biologist who studied life in Earth's oceans. "Welcome to our marine research station," Seojun said. He was wearing a wetsuit, having just returned from a dive. "You went into the water?" Quartzine asked. "Sure, I dive every day. Today I went down about 40 meters to check on some coral formations." 40 meters underwater? Clickthar's compound eyes went wide. The pressure at that depth would crush most beings. Really, I never thought about that. I have been diving since I was 12 years old. My whole family does it. Seojin showed them videos of Earth's oceans. The aliens saw massive creatures swimming in crushing depths, powerful currents that could tear apart a starship, and storms that covered thousands of kilometers. These are your planet's oceans? Fastin asked. Yes, beautiful are they not? I love studying the creatures that live in the deep water. Some of them live under pressure that would flatten a space station. And humans swim in these death traps. Death traps? Seojin looked confused. The ocean is not that dangerous if you know what you are doing. Sure, you have to be careful of sharks and jellyfish and strong currents. But millions of humans swim and dive for recreation. Recreation? Fun. My friend Ariam just finished swimming across the English Channel. That is about 35 kilometers of cold, rough water. She did it to raise money for charity. The final stop was the DMZ, the nature preserve between North and South Korea. Bang Kyungmin, a former soldier turned park ranger, met them there. This used to be one of the most dangerous places on Earth, Kyungmin explained. Two armies faced each other across this line for decades. Now it is a protected habitat for wildlife. You turned a war zone into a nature preserve, Kortzin asked. Yes. When the fighting stopped, we realized that all the plants and animals had thrived here because humans left them alone, so we decided to keep it that way. They walked through forests full of rare birds and flowering plants. Kyungmin pointed out deer, wild boar, and even some bears in the distance. Are those creatures dangerous? Clickthar asked. The bears can be if you surprise them or get between a mother and her cubs. But mostly they avoid humans. We try to give them plenty of space. You allow deadly predators to live near your population centers? They are not really predators to humans. Bears mostly eat plants and fish. Besides, this is their home too. We think it is important to share the planet. As the day ended, the three aliens sat quietly in their hotel room, trying to process what they had seen. This planet should be uninhabitable, Kortzin said finally. The gravity, the atmospheric pressure, the dangerous wildlife, the massive storms. Yet billions of humans live here comfortably, Clickthar added. They treat conditions that would kill us as normal background factors. Worse, Fastin said. They seek out even more dangerous conditions for entertainment. Mountain climbing, ocean diving, extreme sports. And they have no idea how extraordinary they are, Kortzin concluded. When we express fear about their living conditions, they try to make us feel better. They are concerned about our comfort. The three aliens looked at each other, finally understanding what they were dealing with. We are not observing a warrior species, Clickthar said slowly. We are observing a species so naturally powerful that they have evolved to be gentle, because anything else would have destroyed them. That night, they sent their final report to the Galactic Council. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world. Conditions here would kill most known species within hours. Humans have not only adapted to these conditions but consider them pleasant and comfortable. They actively seek out even more extreme environments for recreation. Most importantly, they show no awareness of how dangerous they are. Recommend immediate reclassification of humans as the most naturally powerful species in known space, but also as the least likely to use that power aggressively. They are too strong to be threatened by others, and too kind to threaten anyone else.